Welcome back to Picking Winners. I'm Tony. That is Nate. We're picking every NFL matchup for the Week 3 slate on this one. Before we get into that, though, Nate, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Had a good week of betting. Did good on this show. Did good on my personal bet stuff or whatever that I ended up doing. Had a heartbreak last night, but that's okay.
Well, good to hear, man. It's good to get on here and talk football with you once again. We just did an episode that is available everywhere already. But before we dive into our picks for Week 3, a quick recap on Week 2, in which both of us are trending in the right direction. You maybe a little more than me. I went 9-7, and after risking 32.2 units, I fell short just 1.5 units. That's an improvement on last week. Nate, you went 10-6.
Yeah.
Nicely done there, and risked 28.9 units, and you actually netted. You were in the green, 1.3 units. Yeah, those totals are on the graphic if you're watching this on YouTube. A nice addition there by Nate, and well done, man.
Yeah.
That's about a 6-unit swing from Week 1 to Week 2, and your best bet won for the second consecutive week. The Philly and San Francisco teaser.
Yep.
My best bet had the Giants in it, and they decided to just stage this massive comeback, make it dramatic, instead of just beating the brakes off the goddamn Cardinals.
Yep. Yeah, that was bad for a lot of people. A lot of Survivor went out on that too with the New York Giants. So
yeah. It is what it is. Moving on to Week 3. So I pulled these lines, as always, from DraftKings Tuesday evening. So we're recording this on 19 September. It's Tuesday. And as a reminder, you will probably see something different by the time this post as folks kind of pull these one direction or another. First matchup for us, it's the Thursday night game. The Giants, the aforementioned Giants, go to San Francisco. The 49ers are favored by 10, over-unders at 44.5. What you got?
yeah, this line should be like 14.5 because it's gonna be bad. The only thing is that it's on a Thursday night, so people expect teams to come out slow. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Niners. This is just don't mess around with it, right? Like it's bad.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bad. I mean, the Niners had a nice home game last weekend, right? They even wore their home jerseys down in LA. They're getting a good home game on a primetime matchup, so it's gonna be
Yeah, that
electric.
needs to stop. It was so freaking red. That game was not a home game. It was at SoFi. So red, so loud when it was like a very critical or crucial down for the Rams. Like, just quiet down. This is a Rams home game.
Dude,
What
it
are we
was
doing?
so weird because the Rams, for some reason, elected to wear their white jerseys for that, which, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys, that's an away jersey. And you already know that the Niners, like, treat that as a home stadium. Like, why would you allow them to wear the home jersey in your own stadium? It was so bad.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. For this game, though, the Giants' offense without Saquon Barkley, who is going to miss some time, I don't think they stand a chance. New York looked awful in the first half against the Cardinals. They did get it together, but if they show up with that performance or anything close to it in this game, unlike the game against Arizona, it's going to be over by halftime. New York, they're dead last in points allowed, dead last in sacks, bottom 6 in interceptions and rushing yards allowed. All of those things are recipes for disaster against San Fran. I think this is an easy one. I've also got the Niners.
Who scores in this game? A touchdown.
CMC. I think that's a pretty easy one.
And he's like minus 290, though, if I
Oh, you're
don't want to
looking
lay
for
that.
something better to bet?
Debo. So you mean like Debo or
It,
George Kittle?
hmm.
Ayuk also.
Do you have the lowdown on the Giants? They play zone or man?
They play more zone.
More zone? I'd probably go Debo then.
Debo.
Yeah.
God damn it.
You're back on the Debo train.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Next game, Denver at Miami. Miami's favored by 6.5. Over unders at 48. What are you doing?
I'm on the Miami Dolphins. I think they're the best team in the AFC. I picked them to win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl out of this conference. Picked them to win the division as well. So Denver, I think, is going to score some points on them. Miami's letting up points, but Miami finally gets to have a home game after they win two on the road, right? The stadium's super hype for what they're going to be able to do, and they're going to try to put on a show. I think this over under, what'd you say it was 48 and a half?
48.
Yeah, 48. So I'm hitting the over, and then I'm also picking the Miami Dolphins to win this game. I'll take them to cover the 6.5 too.
Dang. All right. You spoke to the Broncos' defensive struggles on the Week 2 recap, your other show, and Miami is relentless and they're fast and they score at will. Tyreek getting slowed down last week against the Patriots. That's just kind of what Bill Belichick does. It isn't happening every week. Tyreek is going to torch these guys. Miami's winning, and I also think we're going to hit that over. Denver, they seem like they're starting to figure their shit out on offense.
Yeah.
They're putting up some points. They're putting up more than 18.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. So I like the over there as well. Next game, Buffalo at Washington. Buffalo, they are favored by 6.5. Over unders at 44.5.
Yeah. this is going to be a game where Washington's in it to the end and everybody's sweating Buffalo. People who still have Buffalo in Survivor or something like that. I'm still going to take the Buffalo Bills. I think that the week 1 thing kind of lit a fire under them. And, they took it to the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are any good, but the Raiders did end up winning a ball game against the Broncos, and then the Broncos put up 30-something, and then Buffalo put up 30-something on them. So I'll take Buffalo to win the game.
Yeah, I think the Commanders can play solid defense, and I think they'll also keep it close. They do rank first so far in sacks, so Josh Allen might be in for a long day. He's been known to take some sacks. I think Sam Howell just doesn't have the same success this week that he had against who they played last week.
Denver.
The same success that he had against Denver's kind of porous defense. Yeah, I've got the Bills, but again, I think this is going to be a pretty close game.
Yep.
I'm on the same page with you there. All right, next game, New England. They're going to the Jets, going to New York. New England's road favorites. They get 2.5. Over-under's very low. It's at 36.5. What do you got?
Week 1, the Commanders had a must-win game against the Cardinals. Week 2, the Giants had a must-win game against the Cardinals. Week 3, the Jets have a must-win game against New England, or else they're about to start 0-6. The problem is that Zach Wilson has historically struggled against New England. Bill Belichick, whatever he puts, the Belichick, tree puts on something that affects Zach Wilson more than any other team. I think he's 1-6 or something like that in all his starts. It's an outstanding number, but damn it, Tony, I like the Jets, but I have to go and say New England gets a win. I think New England can do enough on offense to score, but they do enough on defense to stop them. So
yeah, they're scrappy. The New York Jets, unsurprisingly, ranked 27th in points scored, 31st in passing yards, 30th in first downs, and this goes with the first downs, 31st in third down conversion rate. On defense, they're kind of middle of the road so far in 2023, ranking 20th in passing yards against, 20th in rushing yards against. They've also lost 22 of the last 24 matchups against New England. That was a fun stat to pull up. Yeah. And that's not a personnel stat. That's a coaching stat because the only constant there is Bill Belichick dating back to 2011. I'm taking the Patriots. This is one I flipped. I did like the Jets initially, but I'm kind of nervous because they can be gashed on the ground. And the coaches in New York will want to re-emphasize the running game after, what was the Breece Hall tweet? The four footballs for the 4 carries. Yeah. But I'm taking the Patriots by a slim margin.
So we talked earlier on the last episode of, the week 2 recap about how I think that Breece Hall doesn't have that breakaway speed right now. And maybe that's why they're holding him back a little bit.
Yep.
I initially wanted to pick the Jets. I think when I was filling this out, I wrote the F word right next to this game.
May have seen that.
But the thing that made me flip it was Nathaniel Hackett, because I think that's really why they got blown out against Dallas. So I am going to say that Nathaniel Hackett is the reason why they end up losing this game, because I don't think he wants to run the ball. I think he panics and wants to pass the ball, thinking that he still has an Aaron Rodgers type quarterback, when he's calling plays or recommending plays to the quarterback to call, right? So
yeah, he's like your typical Madden player in the user games.
Yeah,
go down one score, they just abandon the run completely. What are you doing?
Yeah.
All right, next game, the Saints, they go to Green Bay to take on the Packers at Lambeau Field. Green Bay's favored by 2, over-unders at 43. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take Green Bay on this one. There's nothing there for me not to like about Green Bay. They struggled against Atlanta last week, took an L. Atlanta's got a good defense, though. They can get after the passer. They have a really good secondary. We talked about that when we did the coaching breakdowns for the NFC on the 58 West King podcast, about how they just added tons of man corners. Like, they added dudes, and then they had A.J. Terrell coming back. So the defense secondary is pretty solid. They have good linebackers. They have good front. And that's what Green Bay struggled with last week. New Orleans doesn't have that. New Orleans just got done scraping by the Carolina Panthers, and
that was bad.
It was terrible. One of the worst games to watch. Good thing it was a duo game until Chubb went off the field, but I'll take Green Bay at home.
Yeah, I know it wasn't the prettiest game for the Packers, but I enjoyed watching them last week against the Falcons. I think Jordan Love is off to a positive start. He's moving the offense. They're scoring some points, and he's doing so without some key pieces on offense. Last week, they were without their top receiver, Christian Watson. Aaron Jones sat out, and David Bakhtiari also sat out. I think he's going to sit out most games that are on turf. I think that might be a thing for him if I'm reading that right. Despite all of that, though, they took that game to the very end on the road. They had a chance to win it. So the positives we've seen from them so far, this game being at Lambeau, it being a short week for the Saints, has me leaning Green Bay. Bakhtiari, I do believe he's playing this week since they are on real grass. We'll see about Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. We're recording this on Tuesday, so we don't have like the Wednesday injury report. But give me Green Bay on this.
We need to pump the brakes on that Christian Watson stuff about him being the best receiver. It's not true.
Even Romeo Doubs, he was kind of hobbled with the hamstring as well. So it was what Wicks and Ontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed were the options there for Jordan Love. So Rodgers wouldn't do anything with those guys. So you like what you see from Love.
Yep.
Shots fired. All right, next game, Atlanta. They're going to Detroit to take on the Lions. Detroit, home favorites. They get 3, 46.5 is the over-under. What you got?
Yeah, it's open at 4.5 for Detroit, and it's gotten some pretty heavy money on Atlanta, getting it down to the 3. I think it has to do with that defense. And Detroit losing a game against Seattle in a shootout. Detroit really can't stop people. They're going to struggle on defense all year, I think, until they maybe halfway through the season they flip it on again. But I'd have this at 5.5. So I'm going to take Detroit to win the game, and I'll lay that 3 all day.
Yeah, I was tempted to take the Falcons. I am very much a proponent of modern football. You know, this 1980s smash mouth, run first, ask questions later style that Arthur Smith is running. It's not for me. Mike Vrabel does something similar. It works against some teams. It worked for the Falcons against a Packers team without all the players, I mentioned they were missing last week, and a limited Romeo Doubs. Even then, though, that matchup went down to the wire at Mercedes in Atlanta. This one's in Detroit, and I'm banking on a more competent and mature Lions offense to score kind of where the Packers couldn't last week, and I'm taking Detroit. Atlanta kind of struggled to slow down Jordan Love. He did post a 0.4 EPA. League average is like typically 0.2 EPA. How many points a team added to their expected point total? So kind of just some of the metrics I was looking at that kind of had me flip my pick, because I initially did have Atlanta in this one, but I am taking the Lions as well.
Nice.
Next game, Houston. They're going to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, coming off a loss. Jacksonville's favored by 9.5, over-unders at 43.5, and that total has dropped just a little bit since it came out. What you got?
I love me the Houston Texans, but not today. I'm going to take me the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville has a really stout defense, so I think they'll be able to put up points early, and then Houston's going to be trailing the entire time. But Jacksonville has a way better defense than Houston's faced all year, and I think that's going to be the difference. They probably get themselves like a little pick six action or something like that out of this game, because C.J. Stroud's going to throw it 45 times. It's just his average 45.5 passes per game so far through 2 weeks. So, but I do like that it's the total's going down and stuff like that, because I think that's more accurate. When you look at the Chiefs and them playing, it was lower, right? The Chiefs do have a better defense. Chris Jones obviously was an impact player last week. Houston doesn't have that yet. Jacksonville's going to put up points. I think Houston really struggles to put up points. The Chiefs struggle to put up points against this team. So,
yeah, that was a tight game last week. Chiefs defense looked good. Jaguars defense looked good. I'm also taking the Jaguars. I don't think I need to expand much on this game. Next game, Tennessee. They're going to Cleveland to take on the Nick Chubb-less Browns. Cleveland's favored by 3. That was at 4.5 last night. Over-under is now at 39.5. That was at 42 last night when I wrote these notes down. But who you got?
I'm picking Cleveland in this game. And Deshaun Watson hasn't looked that great through 2 weeks. Started off the game yesterday, first play, pick 6. Granted, there was some bobbles and all that kind of stuff. Some things went the Steelers' way. The Steelers also finished with another defensive touchdown near the end of the game too. But Tennessee cannot stop the forward pass. They have let up over 300 yards per game to passers. I think this is the game where Deshaun Watson gets his feet under him, and then maybe they squeak out this win. I'm going to pick them to win the game. It scares me a little bit. Tennessee, like if Cleveland keeps trying to run the ball against this team, I think they're going to struggle a little bit. Tennessee has the best run defense in the league, but Cleveland also has one of the best run offenses in the league as well too. So it's kind of a clash of what they want to do. Jerome Ford is a big body guy, he didn't play the entire game last night, and he had over 100 and something yards, 130 yards total. Had a touchdown through the air, 3-4 grabs or something like that on 16 carries. I think that Cleveland can do enough. The defense is good enough to get into Tannehill's face. I think they can stop the run fairly well too. So I'll give the edge to Cleveland in this game.
Yeah, didn't want to bet this one, but we have to, Nate.
Yeah.
Gruesome injury for Nick Chubb. You know, I had some Chubb stock in fantasy, and it sucks for me, but I feel especially bad for Nick Chubb. I think he had one of these or something very similar, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep.
In college. And I feel bad for the Browns. Like, I think this team was, ready to make a playoff run. I still like them. I like what Stefanski does with the run game. I like what Deshaun Watson brings to the passing game, passing offense. But major hit to that team because you're not getting Chubb-type production out of Jerome Ford, though I do like him as well, or anyone you bring in off the street. Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt, whoever else is out there. The Titans looked solid last week. The defense was solid last week against the Chargers. I think for this week, they play an ugly game here and get the W on the road. Haven't really been impressed with Deshaun Watson through 2 weeks. I know you're optimistic, and I understand the optimism, but I have your favorite metric here. He is 22nd in PFF passing grade so far in 2023. So I think the Titans are just going to be too tall of a task with the style of football they play. This is going to be an ugly one. Probably, if you're watching football on Sunday on Red Zone, you're probably not going to see much of this game on Red Zone. It's going to be ugly.
Yep.
All right, next game, Indy. They're going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, where Baltimore is favored by 7.5. Over under is at 44.5. What you got?
I'll take Baltimore. Look, Anthony Richardson is probably the best chance that Indianapolis has, but 2 weeks in a row, he's taken himself out of the game. Right?
Sucks.
In the first week, it was run down, and then down at the goal line, gets banged up or something like that, comes out of the game. They're down 2 scores. They could possibly tie it up or win the ball game right with some luck. Last week, he scores a touchdown from 15-something yards out, goes down the next drive, scores another one from 15-something yards out, hits the back of his head on the turf or whatever like that, and then takes himself out of the game. I'd hope. Like they were letting him play, and then he took himself out. Gardner Minshew comes in, does well. But I would hope that players would respect that out of him, and not like hold it against him. Like, yo, you were playing, you seemed okay, and then you stopped playing or whatever like that. You took yourself out of the game. Players don't normally do that. But I think this team has a better chance. I don't know. Do they have a better chance with Gardner Minshew or Anthony Richardson? I think the passing's better with Gardner Minshew. I think he distributes the ball a lot better. They get the tight ends involved. But I'll take Baltimore to win this game. So this is one I think that's a trap game for Baltimore, though.
It might be. The Ravens are missing pieces on defense still, key pieces, but they have shut it down, ranking 7th in points allowed and 6th against the run. Not really what I expected given the injuries. And on offense, they look competent through 2 weeks with Zay Flowers showing he's ready to be a number 2 option behind Mark Andrews. They lost Dobbins, but Gus Edwards looks fine. Justice Hill looked fine. And they're playing the way we'd expect kind of like a Jim Harbaugh team to play, just kind of scrappy, tough football. So far, so good, though, with Todd Monken. I think the offense is okay. Give me the Ravens. I think the only chance the Colts probably have to win is if Anthony Richardson plays the whole game. Like maybe they turn injuries off. Is that an option Roger Goodell has at his disposal?
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, next game, Chargers are going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Minnesota is now favored by 1. This flipped. It was the Chargers by 1 or 2. Over under, it's now at 54.5. Was at 51.5 when I checked yesterday. Mm-hmm. This was the tough one for me. What are you doing with it?
This was our local headline that after, I think it was whatever Minnesota last played, right? Monday Night Football, I believe it was. No, they played Thursday night, and then the look headline came out for this, and it was at 50.5, and I was just like, all caps, bet the over 50.5 right now, right? And good to see it at 54.5. For me, it only comes down to which coach do I think messes up this game for their team more, and I'm going to take Brandon Staley. I think that there's going to be tons of points. Minnesota wants to run man, and they want to blitz. Herbert, I think, is going to be able to bomb it deep. They're going to have some large A-dot numbers in this game. They're going to be able to score, but I don't think they're ever going to be able to stop anybody on Minnesota. The only thing I think where the Chargers have a real good shot at winning is if they can run the ball really well like they did in week 1. If they want to get into a passing battle, they're going to struggle. But
give
me Minnesota.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what to do with this game. On the one hand, you have the sixth ranked offense in terms of points scored in the Chargers, who can't play defense. On the other hand, you have the Vikings, who rank second in passing yards, but also aren't great on defense. Their numbers are kind of skewed because they let Philly run wild last week, opting to defend against the pass. I think they were like rushing three on a lot of plays,
Yep.
just dropping everyone else into coverage, kind of making Jalen Hurts think a little bit. I think New England did a little bit of the same to them, but the Vikings are 29th in rushing yards allowed because of that. For me, it came down to the fact that it's in Minnesota. There's no one on the Chargers who can guard Justin Jefferson. You kind of alluded to that. And if they don't turn it over at the goal line last week, the Vikings may have had a different outcome against Philly. So I'm just taking the Vikings. It's probably over for Brandon Staley if this team doesn't do anything. Starting 0-3 for the Chargers is not going to help.
Yeah.
Keeping him in that coach's seat. So yeah, I got the Vikings this week as well.
Nice.
All right, moving on. Carolina going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seattle's favored by 6. That was 4.5 last night. Over-unders at 42. What do you got?
Carolina stinks and they're on a short week. I don't care what any other number sits there and says. I'm going to take Seattle at home. Bryce Young going into that environment. Hey, you're the number 1 pick. Seattle's going to let you know that you're not anything special or anything like that, which Carolina really isn't anything special. But I'll just take Seattle. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think on the short week, with the rookie quarterback who struggled to put points up, to move the ball, to get first downs to this point, and going into that hostile environment in Seattle, no one wants to play there. This will be too much for the Panthers. I've got Seattle, and I think they lean on the run at home. The Panthers, they're 25th against the run and aren't turning teams over. All of that combined just doesn't seem like a recipe for a kind of an upset road win for the Panthers. Yeah, I would also take them to cover.
Yeah.
Kind of get that a little bit later. Regardless of the number, Nate. All right, next game, Dallas at Arizona. Dallas favored by 12. This one is over-unders at 43.5. It's a damn college line with the money line the way it's at. What do you got?
Yeah, we have to risk 6 units to win 1. This is dumb, the dumbest thing in the world, but we are going to risk 6 units to win 1. Dallas is fast. Like, not just on defense. When they're able to rush the passer in a passing play, right? They're so dang fast. But they're really fast on offense too. And I believe it's like they're breaking the huddle at 20 seconds. So they have about 15 seconds, to get up to the line and make any adjustments, which is a really long time. The play's in, they're out of the huddle. There's no like standing around, and they're just moving. And I think that's by design. They want to get up 2 scores pretty early and then just pin the ears back where the strength of their defense is in that pass rush. So Dallas is 12 seems short. It just seems short.
Yeah.
But I'd probably not lay in the 12. But Dallas is going to smash this team. I don't care what Arizona's done.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't Alabama versus Abilene Christian. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
It is the Cowboys, though. They're legit contenders this season, and we know what Arizona is. I don't think there's any chance the Cardinals win this game, and I think that's why we have that college-type line. We have another one that's very similar. That's the next game here. But for the next matchup, Chicago at the Chiefs. Kansas City's favored by 12.5. Over-unders at 47.5. What do you got?
Remember when we made that video about how Justin Fields stinks and he's a bust or whatever like that and got a bunch of hate for it?
Yeah, where those YouTube users at? Ladies man, 9420. Report in, sir.
Yeah. This dude stinks. Like, their coach is going to be the first one fired. Yeah. And it's going to be fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It's going to be fairly quick. Like, it's either him or Staley that's going to go quick, right? But I think Eberflus is gone. And it might just be after this week because they're not going to move the ball on Kansas City. The thing that worries me about it, not worries me from who's going to win the ball game, right? Which is what we're sitting here laying 7 units to win 1, like a dumbass. Is Travis Kelce is not healthy. He went out there on that field to be a decoy. He did catch a touchdown. He did move around a little bit, but you could tell that knee is still hurting like crazy. There's times where he came off limping off the field, and it's like the second quarter. He's out there just to open up the things for the other guys, to be honest, and then take it where you can. Might be Chicago can't, but decent defenses probably be able to man up on Kelce. It's probably not the greatest idea, but you don't need to bracket him as much as you used to with the knee injury. But Kansas City's going to mop the floor with this team. I don't know if Chicago scores. that bad over there. Justin Fields can't read a defense to save his life. He can't see open receivers while his head is moving through progression. There's like a clip out there where it's like a dude's going up the seam and another dude's on the left wide open, and he goes right, left, left, and he misses the left guy who's open in the seam. Like, no one's within 7 yards of him. You should be able to make that throw. And that's a touchdown. And then boom, 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 and he squats, and then it's like whatever, sack or a pick or something like that. So this dude stinks. And he's not running the ball because they want to make him a passer. And the only thing that makes him decent and why people in fantasy football like him is because he can run the ball. He sucks.
Yeah, he's playing with one arm and one leg probably tied to behind his back right now because of what you just mentioned. They aren't drawing up as many designed runs for him. So that sucks for fantasy because you probably took him pretty early this year versus last. Not going to waste too much time here on this game. It's Kansas City. The Bears are bottom 6 or 7 in points, turnovers against the pass, only middle of the pack against the run, 31st in giving up first downs, and they don't have the offense to counter what they're going to be giving up on defense. It's bad, really, no matter what metric you're looking at. So I have the Chiefs, and that's an easy call for me. I hope there's no upset. Like if the Chiefs or the Cowboys get upset, our week is ruined.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned we're doing 6 to get 1 and 7 to get 1. Like that's going to be bad for people betting, and then especially for us.
Jacksonville, Baltimore.
Fingers crossed here. Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 that are like that. Yeah. Moving on to the Sunday night game, Pittsburgh at Las Vegas. The Raiders are 2.5-point favorites. Pittsburgh was -1 last night. That flipped just in a matter of hours. Over under is at 43.5. What you got?
What the Raiders want to do is run the ball, and the one thing you could do on the Pittsburgh Steelers is run the ball.
Yeah, the Browns showed that.
The Browns showed it. The Niners showed it. Everybody's going to show it. The defense is good. If you can limit the passing, I think Jimmy G's smart enough to not turn the ball over a bunch. He turned it over twice against the Bills, but they're getting smoked, and you're just trying to do stuff to get either off the field or down the field. Like, just let's get out of here as soon as possible. Hope they choose some clock. I'm going to take Las Vegas. Pittsburgh's coming off a Monday night win against a division opponent. Pretty emotional. They took 2 defensive touchdowns to do it, though. And I don't think that they're going to get 2 defensive touchdowns to get against the Raiders. So I'll take the Raiders to win the ball game.
I like it. We're on opposing ends here. I think is this the first one or the second one? This might be the second one. Yeah. The Raiders, they rank bottom of the barrel in points, turnovers, passing, rushing. I think last week I saw like Josh Jacobs had 5 carries for -9 yards. It was against the Bills, different team, but I think they're having some struggles so far in 2023 there. And they're bottom of the league in first downs. It's not good so far. And, Pittsburgh has had some struggles stopping the run. I'm taking them by a narrow margin here. That their defense, getting after the quarterback is good. We're recording this Tuesday. This is the main reason why I'm taking it, the 19th. So no injury report for us, but Adams was assessed for a concussion following their week 2 loss. And if Devontae isn't there, I'm on Pittsburgh even more because I'm not sure if Jacoby Myers is going to be cleared. Yeah. So you'd be without your top 2 passing options. And I made this mistake picking the Jaguars against the Chiefs because Kelsey, I had no news on Kelsey, had no news on Chris Jones. I think when we recorded that, he hadn't even signed yet. Or he hadn't even practiced with the team. So I'm just going to do the opposite of what I did there and hope for the best.
Yeah.
It's so close anyways. Like, I don't know. I feel comfortable taking either team. I think it's going to be a close, ugly game as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to probably get a bad Sunday night game there, but we are going to get rewarded with 2 Monday night games. We have another double header. I don't know if I've ever seen that before to start a season.
You like it?
I do, because if you have one game that's terrible, like you at least have a second game to kind of fall back on, right? I think you said something about that earlier, because like the Saints Panthers was terrible, almost unwatchable. I think there was no touchdown in the first half, maybe something like that, or 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. It was pretty bad. The offenses, they were just stalling left and right. But you had the other game you could flip over to, started like an hour after.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it. Like I would sacrifice one of the Sunday games for it. I know we're going to get into bye weeks and all that.
Cool thing though, on I think it's on the ESPN app. So because Monday Night Football is ESPN's thing, they do a simulcast, so you can see both games at the same time on your TV if you're using the app through Apple TV or Roku or whatever like that too. So that was kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, I had the TV and I had my phone in front of me.
Yeah.
Watching both games. But first Monday night game, Philly. They're going to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucks. Philly, obviously the road favorites here. They get 5 over-unders at 45.5. What you got?
Look, man, I have an infatuation with France, and a lot of it is because of pastries and breads. I like those baguettes, right? You get those long,
Baguettes. Yeah.
they're like 2.5 feet long. You could smack somebody with it and then take a bite out of it. I just went to the old spaghetti factory over the weekend with the kids. Get some nice loaf of bread in the middle with your pasta. Had these like little raviolis with lobster and crab in them and stuff.
That's my favorite entree from there.
I didn't care for it. It felt too thin. I want those things packed and bulked up or whatever, right? But decent stuff, right? What I'm saying is you just gotta let Baker bake. Like, love me a bake. They might, but the only problem, right, Joni, is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may only score a baker's dozen. That's 13 points, and it's not going to be good enough against the Philadelphia Eagles. Just keep betting that Eagles over 12.5, 13.5, first half spread, or whatever, first half total. Yeah, and then go with it. It's Philly. The run for Tampa Bay ends here for me.
I like how you packaged all that together.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hungry right now, to be honest. Might grab second dinner when we're done here.
You a hobbit?
Yeah, I've had one dinner, yes, but what about second dinner?
Yeah.
So teams are playing coverage against Philly so far through 2 weeks, and I think that's why we've seen them run for the second most yards and the third most attempts so far. Sirianni and Hurts will either figure it out, the passing aspect, or they'll continue handing the football off against light boxes. Give me Philly. I feel like it's lose-lose for the Bucs, whether they want to drop guys in coverage or leave A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert alone on island. So I have the Eagles pretty comfortably in this one.
Nice.
Final game for us. This is the second Monday night game. This is the Rams going to, was it Paul Brown, Cincinnati?
Yeah.
The Bengals are favored by 1.5. This was at 6.5. Over-unders at 43.5. What the hell are you doing with this game?
Joe Burrow looks like Zach Wilson on the football field right now. Like, there's a serious discussion to be made. Like, would the Jets want Joe Burrow as is right now for the whole season or keep Zach Wilson? I think they keep Zach Wilson. Like, it's that bad over there in Cincinnati. Hampers the calf once again. Mm-hmm. Totally immobile. Totally immobile does not sound really good when your center or your guards are getting crossed over before a play like a basketball game by Myles Garrett and then getting shook off the line when you have an immobile Joe Burrow and number 99 for the Los Angeles Rams.
Let's go.
The son of Brock Purdy, Aaron Donald, coming down your throat. I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Rams offense is humming. Maybe this is the game where it all falls to shit, right? Like, Puka Nacua doesn't catch more than 4 balls, and Tutu Atwell gets blasted, and, he's out with, like, a back injury or something crazy. We don't wish injuries on players, but hypothetically speaking, these dudes are small, right? And you're going to Cincinnati where wide receivers going over the middle go to die. Like, we know that, right? It's in the blood. It's in the building. Monday Night Football kind of scares me. Cincinnati gets pretty hyped for those type of games. They might, have a white out or an orange out or a black out or whatever it is. And Cincinnati really needs a freaking win here, or their playoff chances are getting bleaker and bleaker as the day goes, and Joe Burrow's not healthy. Who knows if he plays? They say whatever day to day. We don't really know. Might have to sit him. I think he plays. It's Monday Night Football. You're not starting some bum against the Rams when the Rams are a beatable team. You need a win. Mm-hmm. I'm still going to take the Rams to go on the road Monday Night Football and win the ball game.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I saw a meme. It was the Scooby-Doo. It was a Scooby-Doo meme where they're like, let's see who's under there. And it was a picture of Joe Burrow. And the next frame, it's like they're pulling the mask off and it's like Andy Dalton smiling. It's really good.
Let's put some respect on Andy Dalton, man. This guy's been in the league for a long time.
Yeah, fair. So Burrow re-aggravated his calf strain. Like, honestly, the play for the Bengals probably would have been to sit Burrow a week or two, let that thing get 100%. It's clear he is not, and he re-aggravated it, right? So that's not good for the Bengals. The Rams offense just gave San Fran everything they had, kind of went toe-to-toe with them. Offense looked great. Defense kind of held their own for, 2 to 3 quarters. Then it kind of fell apart a little bit. But it's the 49ers, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not good for the Bengals. A Bengals defense that ranks 28th in yards allowed and 31st in rushing yards allowed. Talked about Kyren Williams quite a bit, and they're willing to, run the ball with him as kind of a workhorse back. So You like that. You don't like that for the Bengals. And then the Rams defense with Aaron Donald has also done well against the pass, ranking 5th in passing yards allowed. Dude's a nightmare. Just ask Geno Smith. San Fran held up pretty well against him. But I think Cincinnati continues to struggle, and the Rams, I think they're going to pull off an upset on Monday Night Football. It's a homer pick for me. It's a terrible idea. Puka Nacua for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Do you have that bet in?
I need to put it in. It might be too late.
I got it at 2,100, like right in the middle of week 1 or something like that.
Smart. It's nowhere near that. Yeah. I guarantee you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice move there. All right, we only have 2 games. We're on opposing ends of, and that's fine. This week, to get to 1 unit for each game, I'm risking 44 units. Some of those lines were crazy, so that is up from last week in week 1. And you're risking 45. I'm excited for this week. It feels like a lot of offenses kind of woke up in week 2, so fingers crossed that carries over into week 3, and we get a lot of exciting football. Moving on now to our best bet for the week. I got fancy last week and parlayed 2 games. What do you say about parlaying?
Never parlay.
Never parlay. Yeah. I'm bad at listening.
There's a reason why they market parlays all over the top of your sports betting app, because they're not trying to say, hey, this is the best way to win money here. No.
Yeah. I'm a sucker. Of course, one didn't hit. Nate, your call on the Philly and San Fran teaser was successful. Nicely done there. For week 3, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to a 6-point teaser here. So if you're at one of those in Vegas and you can get the minus 120 at whatever 2 or 3 casinos you can still get it at over there, do that. But at minus 130, I'll take Miami down to basically a pick, so half point from 6.5 down to 6, and then Dallas from 12 through the 10, through the 7, onto the 6. So you're crossing 2 key numbers there. I don't like the Miami one because you want to cross 2 key numbers when you're teasing. I expect them just to win the ball game, though. This is exactly how you lose teasers when you try to do this stuff and get cute and say they're going to win a game. That's why you don't cross through 0 to get positive and stuff like that. You really want to cross 2 key numbers. I just really don't see a way that Miami loses this game against Denver. Denver on the road in Miami, it's just a different environment, and there's a lot of excitement there. So I think Miami puts on a show. Something as we were going through it, I was like, oh, Pittsburgh's a 2.5-point dog. You could probably tease that to the 8.5, right? Get over the 3, get over the 6 and 7, and then be good to go there, because I don't think Las Vegas beats them by over a touchdown. The defense is just too good there. Baltimore down to 1.5. You get off the 7 through the 3, right? They win by a field goal if the offense sputters. But I'm going to take Miami and Dallas. I think those are the 2 ones that I like the most. But, yeah, that's that.
I do like that one. If I can get kind of what you were talking about, I'll probably put that in if it's not too late. For my best bet, I like the Seahawks. The spread was 4.5 when I took my notes down. It's at 6, so I'll keep it. It's still at minus 110. It's a short week for the Panthers. We talked about Carolina earlier, but their offense ranks among the worst in the league in points scored, passing yards, rushing yards, red zone attempts, first downs, and they're going to Seattle. They have to play in that environment. Not going to be ideal for a kind of a struggling rookie quarterback on a team with no world beaters at receiver to kind of anchor him. So that's the best bet for both of us for the week.
Carolina was home last night.
They were.
Yeah.
Yep.
So going from Carolina all the way, it's not like going to like San Francisco.
That's the country.
It's all the way up to the Northeast, right? Like that's a tough trip. That's a long flight. They'll get out there early and all that kind of stuff, right? And acclimate, but it's still a long travel trip. So
yeah, going through 3 time zones, probably losing a day on the short week. So
hey,
not ideal for an NFL team.
If you had to pick like one of these big favorites, let's say over the 300 mark. So we got Baltimore, Dallas, Kansas City, Jacksonville, or the Niners. Which one do you think is most likely to lose?
I think the only one that has a shot is the Baltimore-Indy game.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's got to be like a perfect game from the Colts and Anthony Richardson. He has to stay healthy for 4 quarters, but that's probably the only one I would even risk anything on.
There's something that tells me the Giants can win a ball game.
Against your own team?
Yeah.
You're building that in because it's your team. That's like win-win for you.
No, the Niners,
like
it's just what the Niners do. It's like, oh, you're world beaters, this, and then all of a sudden it's like, why did you lose to some shit team?
Yeah. I feel like the Rams, like they getting that win would probably be a little bit of a wake up call for them, because I think coming in before we saw the Rams, everyone thought that that was just going to be a 40-7 blowout or something like that. So I think they'll be fine, but
the
it'll be
Giants
interesting.
and the Giants too, without Saquon, it's just like this should never happen. But for some reason, Thursday night weirdness, and then you lose a ball game, and then it was like, oh, they got 10 days to think about it.
Yeah.
So
Are you putting all 4 or 5 of those in like a
no
round robin or something?
No.
Okay, all right, just checking.
I like money, Tony. I like money. So hey, can we break down also real quick before we get out of here? Can
Sure.
we break down what I did last week and why
Yes, please.
Monday Night Football was terrible? So I
Yes,
saw
please.
this Twitter thread this Twitter post that some guy had. I don't know the name. I'll write it down. I got to do better at that to give this guy credit. But the guy basically went from Thursday night football, picked a player to score a touchdown, right? And then when that hits, pick a player from the Sunday morning slate. When that hits, pick a player from the afternoon and then from the evening, and just roll it all over, right? Don't rebet the same size, just rolling it over to get from $25 to $1,000 on Monday Night Football. So I saw this thing like Saturday night or whatever. It's like, hey, I think I'm gonna do this. So Sunday morning, I was like, let's pick somebody from the morning games. I was like, Zach Moss, right? I'm gonna pick Zach Moss. Boom, hits, and then we're like, oh crap, right? $25 to whatever, 60, 70, I think it's $75 or something. Okay, let's figure out something for the afternoon games. And you're sitting there looking at it. It's like, dang it, you know what? The Arizona Cardinals, the Giants should be able to put up points. Let's go ahead and say Saquon Barkley scored a touchdown. And then they don't score touchdowns for like an entire half of football. You're like, is this really going to happen, right? Like they're going to just throw the ball and throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up scoring one later on. So we're like, boom, cash that or something like that, right? And then later on in the afternoon game or in the evening game, it was, New England and the Miami Dolphins decided to go with Tyreek Hill. Wanted to go Mostert, but I was like, if they take something, like, I don't know, like, does Bill Belichick just take away the run game? That seems stupid, but really hard to contain Tyreek Hill. And I like the fact, the thing I like about like Debo and Tyreek Hill and these type of guys is they also run the ball. So when you get down to the goal line, like we're just looking for a jet sweep from this guy, right? Mm-hmm. But he got a touchdown pass right before the end of the half. Boom, we're sitting on 290 something bucks right now, right? Going into Monday Night Football, the worst decision to ever make is like, who's going to score one on Monday Night Football when it's New Orleans and Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Don't like any of that kind of stuff. And then an in-division AFC North, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns. Both of these offenses don't look all that great. Who's going to score one? Didn't like any of the receivers. I don't really like picking receivers for these type of things or whatever. Anytime scores, if you're going to do it. I don't really like picking touchdowns in general, but I was like, whatever. So I decided to go with Nick Chubb. Mm-hmm. Whatever, right? They're getting stuffed and, okay, whatever. It's a long game. They'll beat it down and beat it down and beat it down. And you get Nick Chubb. And then the worst thing that could ever happen to Nick Chubb happened to Nick Chubb. I wasn't even watching the game. I was like playing with my kids. Like we're playing Guess Who. That game or whatever, we just picked it up. So we were playing that, and then I see the texts going off. My screen's lighting up, and I'm like, yo, I'll flip my phone, whatever. Maybe it hit or something like that. And then I look at it, and it's complete madness, and we lost it on Nick Chubb. So they were at the 2-yard line. The 2-yard line. They were going to score the next play with Nick Chubb, and we would have had like, I don't know, 500 something bucks or whatever. But I think I'm going to do it again this week. I kind of want to go Debo to score a touchdown out of this game. I also kind of want to go Kittle. Kittle hasn't gotten a lot of run yet, and I think it's because he's helping out. I haven't really watched a lot of like everything with the team. It's kind of just on or whatever like that because they were going to win anyways type of stuff and interested in some of these other stuffs out there. But I feel like maybe Kittle's been blocking a lot more to make up for some of that deficiencies in the offensive line as they get some reps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kittle's got to score a touchdown one of these days, man. And he's like plus 290 or something, but I might just take Debo. I just might take Debo in this game.
That's who I would take.
Yeah.
For sure. We should definitely do that.
We're going to do it again. We'll report to you back next week because it's really hard to pick touchdowns.
Let's do that. We'll do that here at the end again.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Ladder, I don't know. I think that's what people call it. I don't know. All right. So there was a YouTuber in our comments section this past week questioning my taco loyalty. This person called my taco had a ploy. So Nate, I bought another accessory. Should I put it on?
Yeah, put it on, man.
All right.
Nice taco glasses.
Yeah, I got the taco glasses. What do you think?
Are those good?
These?
Are those good for like solar eclipses and stuff like that?
They're kind of like blue light. Like,
oh, nice.
Yeah, the blue light's not affecting me as much. I might wear these for the next podcast. Episode. We'll see.
Dude, take them to work, man. Like we're sitting in front of computers all day. It's for your health. So
yeah,
I like them. They're really nice, dude. Those are so cool.
Yep, I'll send you a pair.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back next week with our Week 4 picks. We'll kind of summarize what we did here in Week 3 as well, or how we did. Best of luck this weekend. Enjoy the cooler weather. It's hoodie season.
Yep.
Enjoy the football. Enjoy a pumpkin spice latte.
Yep.
We talked a little bit about that on Nate's last show, the Week 2 recap. But we'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. Bye.
Never parlay. Love you. Bye.